Welcome back to the Sports Playbook. We are your go-to for fast sport news, athlete stories, and insights. And today, this episode is proudly brought to you by NXT Football. Once again, we're joined by Coach Dan for your expert analysis. Thanks for coming on again.
No, that's fine. Thanks for having me. Last time was great. Had a lot of fun. So looking forward to today's preview.
I didn't bore you to death?
No, did I?
God, no. I learned something, so it's always handy.
Good.
Now, what we're chatting about today is the World Cup Qualifiers. So this is Men's World Cup. So for context here, Australia has already qualified for the World Cup. So this is the World Cup that's happening in June of this year. That will be in the US, Canada, and Mexico.
Yep.
So to confirm, they've already qualified. But in the group, it's currently incomplete.
Yep.
So not all the teams have actually gotten a place yet. But who is in the group so far is the US, which is one of the host nations we spoke about, and Paraguay. So what that means is there's 3 teams and there's 1 team to still fill that spot. So off the back of that, there is now World Cup qualifiers. So that last spot to get into the Australian group, or the group that Australia is in.
Mm-hmm.
So the 4 teams that are playing for this final spot, you've got Slovakia, and Slovakia are going up against Kosovo.
Yeah.
We'll go with Kosovo. And then the final matchup is Turkey against Romania. So whoever wins those respective games, they will play against each other.
Yep.
A couple of days after. The winner of that will then go into the group, which Australia, the US, and Paraguay are in.
Correct. Yeah. So when they did the draw, the 4th, or when they went to the qualifiers bit, was the European qualifiers. Mm-hmm. So that is those 4 countries you just mentioned, who are all playing at the end of March. They'll play each other once. Then the winners of the 2 games will play in very early April. The winner of that, as you said, takes that last spot.
And so the one where they'll all play on March 27th. Yep. That's when all the teams will play. And then, as Coach Dan alluded to, that very final game will be April the 1st, where they'll confirm who will be in that group. So
they always play these games at the same time, so there's no funny business.
It's always good for us, right?
Yeah, correct.
And I guess I couldn't even pronounce one of the countries, so I'm going well. So I guess I'm going to go to you here, Coach Dan, in terms of context, and probably for Australian fans, probably to understand a bit more about who are these nations, how would they kind of stack up against Australia, but just who are they essentially? So we'll go with
Kosovo.
I'm going to go to you with that because you can do it much better. Tell us a bit more about that nation, how they stack up in this.
So Kosovo is a very small nation, small footballing nation, ranked in the top 100 teams, but they cannot be discontinued. They've shown a lot of fight in the qualifiers. So most of these teams came second in their group. Right. So to automatically qualify from Europe, you needed to top your group. Mm-hmm. They all went straight through. Then some of the second place teams are now playing off for a spot. We'll touch on Slovakia and how they were a little different shortly. Mm-hmm. But Kosovo was in a group and only 3 points behind Switzerland.
Wow.
Now, Switzerland have been not a powerhouse of Europe, but they've always been there, always knocking, getting out of groups, round of 32, round of 16 kind of team. So they topped the group, but Kosovo also was ahead of Slovenia and Sweden.
Wow.
So 2 pretty big footballing nations in comparison to Kosovo. So look, I like them. Yeah. I think the fact that they had such a hard group and have come second in it is unreal. And look, they're up against Slovakia. Slovakia came second to Germany. So I think we all know what Germany is and means when it comes to football.
Yeah.
They've won 4 World Cups, plenty of Euros. They don't mess around.
They're well versed.
when it comes to football. But in the final game of qualification, Slovakia actually beat Germany.
Did they?
2-0. So you can take it with a bit of grain of salt. Germany was probably already qualified and maybe, time to bleed some new talent through.
Yeah.
But,
Regardless.
they still beat them 2-0.
Yeah.
A really interesting matchup of two countries who it could go either way.
Yeah.
I think I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Kosovo.
Yeah.
And it'd be really cool to see them make a tournament.
And then we go to the second matchup. So this second matchup is Turkey against Romania.
Yep.
So let's talk about Turkey first up.
Turkey, I like them.
Yep.
I really like them. Ranked 25th in the world. They mean business. They've been at plenty of World Cups, plenty of Euros. Probably a similar comparison, I guess, to Switzerland in that they can compete and they can perform. In their group, they came second to Spain. So again, similarly to Germany, in terms of powerhouse, in terms of silverware won and stature on a football scale, Spain's currently the number 1 team in the world.
Yep.
So coming second to Spain is no small feat.
No.
They've now qualified for this. Turkey's always had a very strong league.
Yeah.
A lot of players do manage to go overseas.
Right.
So at the moment they've got 2 players, one's at Inter Milan and one's at Real Madrid. So heavyweights in European football, heavyweights when it comes to titles won, league titles, Champions Leagues, the whole lot. So those players and what they will learn at those clubs and what they can bring to the Turkish national side is really invaluable to the rest of the group.
Yeah.
And then they're going up against Romania. I think Turkey will get it done against Romania.
Okay.
Romania actually finished 3rd in their World Cup qualifying group. They did have a successful Nations League campaign. So that is where they've secured this attempt in getting to the World Cup.
What is the Nations League?
What is the Nations League? My take on the Nations League is Europe's way of giving friendlies meaning.
Right.
So every country currently will play a friendly or multiple friendlies a year, and a lot of the European countries use the friendlies to get young talent in, which definitely has its pros, and the youngsters need their opportunities. But what it was doing was diluting some of the games, and because those big names weren't coming, it kind of started to fall apart, and UEFA wanted to find a way to give some meaning. So now what we've got is the Nations League, and the Nations League, if you perform well in it, things like this can happen. So Romania did well in their group in the Nations League, and now they have a chance. So there's almost like a loophole way to get a chance of qualifying. No one will qualify for a World Cup from the Nations League. They'll just get an opportunity to exactly like Romania have.
Yeah, right. And I guess of these 4 teams, and there's obviously a couple of matchups that come from this, who do you see slotting into the group that Australia is currently in?
Straight off the bat, I'd say Turkey.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think, as I touched on before, Turkey has such a rich history, very competitive footballing nation, always there or thereabouts and participating in these tournaments. Second to Spain, take that out of the equation, maybe they win the group.
Yeah.
So I think one thing we need to obviously consider is how long it takes to qualify for a World Cup.
How long does it take?
These processes start, I think it's 2 years out. And that's because these international games are played periodically. You might only play 5 or 6 games a year for your country.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time to get here, and they went through the qualifiers, and now they've got another chance, but they've still got to play another 2 games.
Yeah.
They've still got to win those 2 games, and then they're at the World Cup. Then they're there. Then the rest needs to happen.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see them come up against Kosovo. I think that would be a really cool narrative and an awesome step forward for footballing in Kosovo. But yeah, I believe they'll be pretty strong and will take that 4th spot in Australia's group.
So we're thinking Turkey, and then Australia, Paraguay, and the US.
Yep.
It's a pretty hard group for Australia, you would argue?
No, I agree. I think where Australian football is at the moment, it's almost an even playing field. I think if you were to look at where they're all ranked and how they perform as individual countries, I think it is a tough group.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone's on a similar, relatively similar level.
Yeah. Okay.
USA will have the home advantage, obviously.
Of course.
And a lot of their pundits have come out saying that it's an easy group, saying that it's all done and dusted for them. So I can't say I agree with that. The USA's never been a heavy hitter of world football. So yeah, I think the home crowd will definitely play a part for them. But as far as wrapping up the group already, no chance.
I think it's great analysis, but I think this World Cup has come about quite quickly. The dates for it, the first game is the 11th of June and the final will be on the 19th of July 2026. So it's coming around, it's not far away, and even these qualifiers are not far from the World Cup.
No, they have to slot them in during the international windows, which, as I said, only happen so many times a year. But whilst these countries are playing these games of high importance, the other countries that have qualified, they'll be using this time to gel. They'll be playing friendlies, but the friendlies will be to get ready for the World Cup as opposed to still qualifying. So, yeah.
I was going to say, do you think with these 4 teams that are qualifying, do you think that puts them potentially at an advantage knowing that they've qualified, they're probably riding a little bit of a high initially in the World Cup? Do you think that maybe gives them a small advantage at the very start of the World Cup? Or
I think it can go either way, right? They can either think, oh, we just got here, right? In the sense that the others already qualified, the others did it the easy way, and they've had to go the long way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the flip side is they're playing 2 competitive games in late March, early April. 2-ish months before the tournament starts. So I think from their perspective, whoever does qualify needs to have that mentality that, we're raring to go. We've got momentum. We've won 2 games in a row now. We're flying. So, I think it can go either way, but knowing where the mental game of football is, that's where the winning country of this will take it.
Yeah, definitely. So I think if you're an Australian fan, it's one to watch and be curious about, because this will be the final spot in the group. So it'll be really interesting to see where this kind of all ends up.
Indeed. Yep.
Perfect. Well, Coach Dan from NXT Football, thank you for your analysis. And this is another episode of the Sports Playbook. We are your go-to for fast sport news, athlete stories, and insights. See you on the next episode.